I've gained mad respect for AI music creators. Now, that doesn't mean that I've suddenly fallen in love with AI music or AI generated music. Definitely doesn't mean that I've changed my values around human creativity. What has changed is that I've finally been able to clearly articulate what exactly has been bothering me all along. And it turns out it was never really about AI as a tool. It was about people pretending they didn't use it, pretending the work was human when it wasn't, pretending to be artists or even specific artists when what they were really doing was outsourcing creativity and hoping nobody would notice. So, today I want to talk about where my line actually is, why honesty changes everything, and why I think AI can and will have a place in music as long as we stop lying about it. Hello, my name is Pete Johns. This is the Studio Live Today podcast. And yes, one more time with feeling in 2025. We are talking about artificial intelligence and AI music and AI when it comes to art. And the reason I'm doing this is that, I came to a bit of a realization. I've finally worked out what's actually bugging me, what actually makes me angry. I've had many discussions. See, the thing is, I like to actually get as much information about a particular topic as I can and then make my own decision about it. And the problem is with a lot of these things, we have these knee-jerk reactions, don't we? We say AI equals all bad or AI equals all good. Problem is AI is not even really AI anyway, but we can talk about that on another show. But I realized that it wasn't people using AI, and it wasn't even the fact that AI music existed, even though I don't personally like it. If you do like it, more power to you. Consenting adults should be doing what they want. And the same with creating using these tools. I think there's some issues. We'll talk about them throughout the show. There's some issues around, utilizing other people's art and then recreating your own art and calling it yours when it's really theirs, or at least based on theirs. So I don't love that. But that's not actually the problem. The problem is people are actually claiming that they're creating things. They're creating these artificial personas that they're claiming to be real. So the AI stuff that's the slop that's completely left field that looks like it's AI, that's okay. Sounds like it's AI, that's okay. But if you're creating something that you're pretending that just your lack of confidence or your lack of self-knowledge, self-empowerment means that you have to hide behind an AI avatar claiming that it's really you when the rest of us know it's really not, that's where I have a problem. All right, as usual, we've got 13 points. We're going to crack on into them. Number one, my position shift. So this isn't really a reversal of my beliefs. If you're saying, but Johns, you were our savior. You were the anti-AI music shining star. No, I never was that for starters. And secondly, again, I like to hedge my bets. I wrote a song called Fence Sitter because I've been a fence sitter from way back. So I've tried AI. I've learned about AI. I've tried different tools. I've played around with Suno and Udio. I've played around with ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT helped me outline this. I gave it all the information and said, put this brain dump into some form of order, please. And it did. And it helped me get the points together. But my respect for human creativity hasn't changed, hasn't wavered. What's changed is clarity around the real issue, at least as it is for me. And you can vary, you can differ. That's okay. That's what this is all about. I realized I wasn't reacting to I was reacting to the behavior, not the technology. It wasn't the actual AI music and the AI generative tools and things that I was worried about. In fact, little behind the scenes stuff, I was actually pretty impressed. The first time I fired up Suno, and if you don't know, Suno is an AI music generation platform where you type in a prompt, just like in writing a prompt for AI for writing or for art, it just does that for music. So you're like, cowboys song in a country style about how cowboys are always crashing their trucks and falling off of cliffs. And then they write that song. And that's what Suno and Udio have been doing. But turns out they were utilizing scraped audio and data from actual artists, not crediting those artists, not paying those artists. And there's a whole big thing about that, which we're not really talking about here today. But this episode is about drawing a clearer line, saying that if you accept, I know many of us still don't, but if you accept, let's say that there was a completely ethical, completely free to use AI music generation platform and people used it but said it was theirs, is that okay? Forget about the whole stealing from other people side of it. If you're just using AI, if you're actually quote unquote cheating and then you're saying it's really you, is that okay? And I've realized that for me personally, it's not. So, number two, what is the real problem? Again, I do not hate AI music. I hate misrepresentation, phonies. I've always said that, yeah, open and honest communication when it comes to communicating with people in the music world. That's what I really like. I like knowing the behind the scenes. I like knowing how people tick, how people create, what people think about things. I don't like it when people misrepresent themselves or other people. So passing AI output off as human created, it just feels wrong to me. It manipulates audience expectations. They think that you're a real person. They think that you're a real band because you're presenting yourself as such, but you're not. It devalues that real creative labor. The stuff that in my recent song I quoted the guy from one of the AI music companies who say, yeah, music, people don't want to create music. It's too hard. It takes too much effort. That's the labor of love, baby. That's what we all love doing, isn't it? Yeah. The problem is pretending, right? It's not the producing, it's the pretending. I don't like the pretenders. The only pretenders I like is the band, because you know what? You got brass in pocket. Someone's old enough to get that reference. All right, number three, tools and the band tool, but no, tools are not the enemy, right? Every generation panics about new tools. Multi-track recording, synths, DAWs, they all faced backlash. Just think about the analog to digital. These days, digital is basically one, and analog is the realm of, Steve Albini and 1% of music producers. But there was a big thing. There was a big uproar when the electric guitar was introduced, when the synthesizer, hey, when the piano was introduced. Like every time we introduce something new. Recorded music in general, when the wax cylinder first made its way into people's wax cylinder players, I don't know what you call that, record players, but with cylinders, people were not happy. Actual conductors and orchestras and musicians and people creating, what are they called? Composers. Yeah, there you go. Good one, Johns. Composers were up in arms because they thought that people wouldn't come and listen to live music anymore. So we go through this, don't we? But the tools don't erase the creativity, they shape it. AI is just another layer in that history, right? The issue is how authorship is claimed, and the issue is about how people actually admit that they're using it. Just tell us. Just tell us what you're doing. We know anyway. Most of us do. Number four, honesty changes everything, right? So disclosure instantly reframes the work. I know many artists, some of them are using AI and pretending that they're actually real. And I don't call them out. I'm not here to have a witch hunt and call out people and tell people, oh, don't listen to this artist. They're using AI. No. And then I know artists who are like, yeah, I use AI. I think it's cool. I do all this, and this. But here's me. Here's my actual person, and here's my actual music that I'm creating. Or I'm getting my music and I'm pumping it through AI because I can't sing, because I have a disability, or because I'm just a bad singer, and it's great for writing demos for doing that. Or I got this AI song, and then I put it into my DAW, and then I recreated it using real instruments because I needed some inspiration. All of that is cool, and the reason I think that all of that is cool is because they're telling me that. They're being open and honest, and they're communicating that this is what I'm doing. There's no deception. Hiding AI use, it implies shame or deception. It implies that you're doing something wrong, even if you're not. Because, again, there isn't anything wrong with it. It exists. It's out there in the world. But it's like people, I'm the same with authors. Look, you can do this if you're writers or if you're into writing. The same thing is with like people that write their autobiographies. Or Milli Vanilli Singers is another one, but there's a lot of people who wrote autobiography, and it's written by name of famous celebrity, and then you actually have to go to like page 7 with the credits, and it's like written by ghostwriter name of person with contributions from name of celebrity. So it happens everywhere, and yeah, it's never been cool. I never liked that either, because I want to hear from the real person. I don't care if that real person doesn't have the same chops or the same ability to make music or write books or whatever. I want authenticity. Transparency builds trust. even with critics like me. Number five, AI as an instrument, right? AI works best when it's treated like an instrument. It's not the whole band, it's not the whole artist, it's just one of the instruments. It still needs human input and direction. Choices matter. Prompts, selection, editing, taste and restraint. Like you do need to still put all these human elements and human skills into it. And that's where the creative responsibility lives. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I love the fact that prompt engineer is now a hot item. There's people studying in universities with how to talk to AI, and they'll get there and they'll get their degree just in time for AI to move on and not need prompts because it's already reading our minds. Well, not quite, but we're able to use plain English. It's already happening. We can use more plain English with a lot of the better AIs. Notice I didn't say meta AI. That's a different thing. I had a run-in with Meta AI. That's a story for another day. Number six, the uncanny valley issue. So what's the uncanny valley? So that's that thing. Think the Polar Express. Think when animation tries to be too realistic. Now, I know that sounds weird. It sounds like what do you mean too realistic? Shouldn't it try to be as realistic as it can be? Short answer, no. Because if you try to be realistic, it's the whole sixth finger problem that AI generative images have. If you try to be too realistic and you try to deceive through fake realism, it somehow looks even more fake. Whereas if you just you can get lost in an animated. If you think Disney animation, think the princess, things like Frozen. You can get lost in that. Encanto, one of my favorite Disney movies. You can get lost in those movies because you know they're not real. So, but you look at these characters, and because they're not so close to human, your brain's not constantly switching between, is that real? Is that not real? Is it real? Is it not real? So the uncanny valley is sort of the term coined for that hyper real stuff that looks unreal. And when it comes to music, that hyper real AI music often feels emotionally flat. Your brain can't quite work out why it's wrong. It just knows it is because it imitates the surface features, not the lived experiences. So I can't write a proper country and western song because I'm not a cowboy. I've never driven a truck. I've never had my dog get stolen. And I don't know. I always use those things, but you know what I mean. There's a difference between being able to make up a character and live a life. And I'm not saying that you can't ever make up a fictional character in your songs. Of course you can. Not all of my songs are autobiographical, but they're all around my lived experiences. And you know what? A robot doesn't have lived experience. Why? Because it doesn't live, right? So listeners will sense something is off. And that discomfort is real and it's valid. The closer it pretends to be human, the worse it feels, right? And I say this, like there's particular artists that create these images that are their image. And you know, like the telltale signs are there. If you plug it into any detection algorithm, it'll say, yeah, that skin is too smooth. That lighting is too unnatural. There are no blemishes. There's no signs of aging. This person's been using these same photos now for 2 years and they still look exactly the same. That's a problem because you instantly look at that and in isolation, without having a critical lens over it, maybe you get away with it once, twice. The consistency, though, no. Yep, the closer closer to human it pretends to be, the worse it feels. Which brings us to number 7, which is that deepfake energy, right? Voice cloning, artist imitation. To me, that crosses a line, especially without consent. If you're James L. Jones and you want to be the voice of Darth Vader for the next 10 decades after you're gone, then that's cool. And guess what? He did. He signed it over. He said, yep, I want to keep being Darth Vader. You can use my voice, you can clone my voice, you can make me say whatever you want. But do we want that to happen to someone else that hasn't given their consent, that doesn't want their voice to be used? Can we go back to, James Dean's now selling leather jackets because we could clone his voice? No, we don't want, I don't want that. It blurs identity and it blurs ownership. It erodes the trust in the music as a whole. If we've got a Drake song and then the new Drake that's just using Drake and trained on Drake. Problem is, labels, they want to do it. Streaming platforms, they want to do it. So it's not like it's just a small band of individual outcasts that are trying to do this thing. No, these are corporations because they think people want this, and maybe they do. So again, this is my opinion. The reason I do these podcasts every week is I'm factual for everything else. This is editorial. Nothing I'm saying here is false or incorrect as far as I know, but there is opinion thrown in here. And again, I want to reiterate before we move on that I'm not actually having a go at people that are using AI or choosing to use AI. I think some of the stuff is pretty cool. I'm having a go at people who are using these systems, pretending they're not, and then expecting us to not notice. And if you feel called out or if you feel like that's unfair judgment, I'm very sorry. But I hope that you would use the same bar to judge me in the things that I do. If I said that I'm a GarageBand expert, but I really know nothing about it, and I just get AI to create all my GarageBand tutorials, I would really, really hope that you would call me out on that and say, actually, you're not. Whereas if I said, let's just say that I wanted to do a series on Pro Tools, but I don't know anything about Pro Tools. So what do? I go to AI and I get it to develop a bunch of scripts, and then I just read them out while I show footage of other people's Pro Tools tutorials, or I just show images from Pro Tools that it found for me. If I said, hey, I've just learnt Pro Tools and I've started a new series, here's all of the things I've learnt, that would be bad. If I said, hey, I wanted to know about Pro Tools, so I used AI to generate these tutorials, let me know what you think of them. Well, for starters, that'd probably be very inaccurate because I don't know if you've asked AI about GarageBand or Logic Pro things, but they get it wrong quite a lot because there's two versions, the mobile version and the Mac version. It usually gives you the wrong information. Just heads up on that one. But hopefully you understand what I mean. All right, number 8. Fun AI is fine. Look, I mean, I know AI slop that fills our pages. Like I love Back to the Future, right? Big Back to the Future fan, massive Back to the Future fan. And there are Back to the Future Facebook pages that are covered in AI slop. It's like Doc and Marty at the Declaration of Independence. Doc and Marty to the year 3000. Doc and Marty with a time machine, but it's really a Tesla. Like, yeah. So we get it. You can plug in, even if it's intellectual property owned by other organizations, you can plug this stuff in and you can create this slop. But we know it's made up. We know it's fake. We know you used AI. If you said I hand drew this wonderful piece of artwork and it's AI, that's BS. But you know what? If you're generating AI slop with Sora or with any sort of Mid-Journey or any other sort of engine, and you're saying, hey, I made this with AI, I think it looks kind of fun. Again, there's problems with that, but I don't have as big a problem because there's no deception involved. The absurd, the surreal, the impossible ideas, that's cool. Comedy, chaos, experimentation, the things that feel playful, not deceptive. This is where AI actually adds something new. It's additive. It's doing the stuff the humans can't do. And this is where a lot of musicians, who did I see the other day? Eurythmics guy, Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics, was talking about this. He's like, AI's here. You better learn to embrace it and adapt to it. And the critics of him said, oh, sell out. Eurythmics would be nothing if it wasn't for real music. Annie Lennox's voice could never be recreated. But that wasn't what he was saying. If you read between the lines, he was saying, yeah, but it's just another tool. It's an instrument. It's a system. It's a way to do different things that you can create. And you better bet your bottom dollar that if Dave Stewart wanted to make new music and he could just put in his entire back catalogue into AI and say, give me some ideas about some very Dave Stewart type songs that I could try out. And then it gave him a bunch of ideas. And then he wrote a song based on one of those. I wouldn't have a problem with that. As long as he told us that. If he said, oh, I was on the toilet, I was hanging a clock, and that's when I had the idea for the flux capacitor, which is what makes time travel possible. No. If he said, I came up with this idea, woke up, and it was just this melody was in my head, when really he said, give me a Eurythmics-like melody to an AI engine, and it gave him a melody. He's like, that's pretty cool. If he said, this is a Dave Stewart song, and put in the liner notes, melody created with assistance from AI, I don't think I'd care, because it would still be him. So fun is fine. Number 9, humans still matter. Music isn't just sound, right? It's intent. I'll say that again. It's not just sound, its intent. What is the intention of your song? I say this on my weekly show, plug, 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 Your Music Live. I do a show called Your Music Live every week here on Studio Live Today, where I play independent music from human creators. And it's wonderful because it's not just people aren't just making sounds to make sounds. They're trying to share. The best songs are ones that make you feel. And that feeling can be happy, sad, it can be angry, it can make you cry, it can make you laugh. I spend the whole show, sometimes I'm there in tears where I can barely even announce the next song. And sometimes I'm laughing so much during the song that I have to just keep playing it. I can't come back and back announce it because it's just cracking me up. Recent Christmas song from our mate Dave did that to me. But that's the thing. It's the intention. It's the intent of the people. The context comes from It comes from the people. The context of the story comes from people, right? It's AI doesn't care. AI doesn't care. Humans do. AI doesn't have a heart or a soul or a conscience. It just is creating based on its large language model. It's algorithms. It's generative AI. Meaning comes from why something was made as much as what you actually make, right? It's all the things. It's the what, where, when, how, why, and who. It's all of those things, as opposed to just the what. You can create. Factories can produce what? Factories can produce items that are low quality, exactly the same as everything else. The mass production, mass produced. But a handcrafted anything is always going to be more interesting. It's always going to be more artistic, and it's always going to be better for humanity, in my opinion, than mass-produced stuff, especially when that mass-produced stuff doesn't have human interaction. Number 10, credit is the currency. So we already credit writers, producers, engineers, session players, everyone, right? So AI should be treated the same way. If AI is part of your band, if it's part of your production team, credit it, right? It's just part of it's what you use. If you say this was made on a Mac or this was made on an iPad or this was recorded using my wonderful Steinberg interface and my Taylor guitar, why wouldn't you say, and Suno AI wrote the lyrics? Why? Because you want to pretend it's you, or you're embarrassed that you used it because people will question you and judge you. That's what it's about. And I think this is why I wanted to do this. Above everything else, I want us to, if we can, put a call out to stop misdirecting the judgment towards people that are choosing to use this stuff, that are owning it. I actually, at this point in time, when this first started, I'm like, oh, here we go again. All the tech bros that were the crypto bros and they were the NFT bros, they're now the AI bros because they want to scale AI and they want to show you how to do that. I've actually got so much more respect for someone who says, I don't really care about this stuff. I just want to make a pile of cash. I know, I'm generating slop. I'm putting slop out into the world. The people that sell their courses, here's how to make 100 pieces of AI generated slop every day and scale your business and make all the money. I don't love it. It's not what I'd choose to do. I think it's a problem for humanity in other ways, but I've actually got it. No, I'm starting to have respect for that because I think if you own it and if you say you're doing what you're doing, no one can question you on that. They can question the value of what you're producing, but they can't question your values or your ethics or your morals because you're owning it. And it's the same with this. Create your AI character. Call it whatever you want. Use that generative AI to create images that all look airbrushed and all look like they've got flawless complexions. And then say, here's my AI character. Her name is Emma, and she would like to sing this song that Suno wrote for you. Oh, I gave it the idea. I wrote the prompt, but Emma's going to be singing it for you. And that's a picture of Emma with the snowflakes falling and wearing the Christmas hat. No, wait, that's Mariah Carey. She's real. Oh, I love you, Mariah. This is the time of the year, isn't it? Yeah, so clear labeling. It respects the audience. And look, all the different platforms are working towards that. Things like YouTube. YouTube now has a thing that I have to tick every time when I'm uploading something. In fact, let's tell you what those are, because it's changing over time. When you go into YouTube and you go to the More section, it now says altered content. Do any of the following describe your content? Makes a real person appear to say or do something they didn't say or do. Notice it doesn't say create a fake person that says fake things. That's okay. Alters footage of real events or place, or generates a realistic looking scene that didn't actually occur. So that's the key one, isn't it? A realistic scene that didn't actually occur. But that's the thing. And all you have to do is say yes to altered content. It's not saying you can't do it. It's saying tag it. It's saying say yes to that. And then it will put that AI tag on your YouTube. But of all, I don't think I've ever seen, of all the things that I've seen that are 100% clearly, definitely created by I don't think I've once seen someone tag that with the altered content, to the point where the other day I actually left a comment, a little bit snarky, on a video saying maybe in future consider not using an AI voice for the voiceover, and maybe do consider flagging it as AI. So at least people like me won't watch it, instead of hate watching it for a minute, then leaving a dislike, and then leaving a snarky comment, right? So transparency, shouldn't that be standard practice? Am I delusional here? If you agree with me, hit the thumbs up button. If you disagree with me, hit the thumbs down button twice. That's a joke from my old mate Mike. All right. Number 11. The audience isn't stupid. They know what's going on. Listeners can usually sense when something's artificial. And if they can't immediately, they will eventually. Yeah? They don't hate AI. They hate being misled, just like me. Right? Trust is hard to earn and easy to lose. They say that. I used to work in customer experience. I used to work like in survey and customer retention and customer sales teams. And basically what they said is that if you have a bad experience, you're likely to tell like 10 people. And if you have a good experience, sometimes you won't even tell one person. Because there's something old man yelling at cloud, rage baity about having a bad. I said before, my meta AI. I won't talk about it in detail here now, but I had a very humorous conversation about the fact that Meta AI was convinced that Fair Dave was a classic Aussie slang that originally meant fair go, and then for reasons unbeknownst to me or it means Salvation Army. So yeah, you realize this, don't you, over time, that the audience isn't stupid, but sometimes AI is. So yeah, trust is hard to earn, easy to lose. I now will not go back and use that particular AI. Did I say what it was? I think I did. But you can choose to use it if you want. But it was really a just shocking experience. Anyway, honesty lowers defensiveness. People won't get, like, if you're just honest, you got nothing to be defensive about. And weirdly, the most defensive people, guess what? They're the people with something to hide, aren't they? Yeah. You've known this, you see this, you know what's going on. It's like if you give someone any sort of criticism and they immediately get defensive, guess what? You've probably hit a nerve. There's probably some truth to what your accusation is, to what your feedback is. If they just go, no, what are you talking about? Then you're like, oh, yeah, sorry. But that's the problem. And I don't go around, and I don't recommend, do not go around. Unfortunately, in Your Music Live, I play a lot of music. And look, the chance that I play an AI-generated music that could slip under the radar, especially because a lot of people use little, fun AI clips and stock footage and stuff in their music videos now. Yeah, there's people that are like, oh, not bad for AI in the comments. And I'd say until you've got proof, I go with the innocent until proven guilty side of things here. So unless you have definitive proof, and this is the problem, we're going to reach this peak AI-edness where AI is so good that people are now going to start accusing people that are actually creating music of being like AI, because the AI has generated based on their music. And then there's going to be the AI generating off the AI music, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. But yeah, treat your audience like adults. And again, don't go out and accuse people, especially if you have no proof and no evidence, because that could be very embarrassing and very damaging. And again, most people, if you call them out on it, this is the only thing I'll say to that, is that the very few times where I've asked the question, very innocently just say, hey, it doesn't mention in your description, but did you use any AI generative tools to create this? If they get up in arms, if they're like, oh, how dare you accuse me of these things? I'm like, you didn't say no. But I don't do it regularly again, because I'll usually just err on the side of, yep, look, if they've said it's created, and if I've checked their description and they haven't tagged it as AI, I'll go with it, because it's hard to tell these days. But then, yeah, if they submit a few songs, I'll go to their channel, and if there's no signs of humans, if we don't see names, if there's never been anything that could connect it, then yeah, maybe that's a different thing. All right. Number 12, call to creators. Here's a call to action for you before we finish off. If AI is part of your workflow, say it clearly. And look, can I put my hand up here and say that I was a little guilty of this? So I've been using ChatGPT for mostly some structural things. Mostly I feed it information and say, my mind is a mess, but here's all my thoughts and ideas. Can you put this in a nice dot point list like you've done for this podcast? And it goes, yeah, here you go, Johns. Instead of reading your page of ridiculous prose that's just you ranting and yelling at clouds, I've put it into these 13 categories that you can talk about. So I go, yay. And I mention that almost every time I do a podcast. For a while there, I was starting to use AI to generate images, and I still do. Look, this background, I can't even remember what I used. This was pre-ChatGPT. This was like way back in early days of Canva's automated. It wasn't even called AI back then. But I just said, give me a pink and purple neon brick wall with some guitar amps and things laying around. And it said, here you go. And I said, cool. So yeah, I want to call myself out here and say that I will be overly sharing about the tools that I use, and I always have with my music. If I use automated mastering, I'll always say, "Yep, this was mastered by Lander," or I use the Logic Pro for iPad mastering assistant to do this. If I use virtual or auto drummers, I'll always say, "Yep, I'm using auto drummers." I've tried to at every step or at most steps be really, really clear, but I'm going to be crystal clear. I'm gonna take my own advice. I'm not gonna hide behind vague language. I'm not gonna cosplay as a human-only artist when I'm actually using tools. When I'm actually using some AI tools or AI tools, because really, this isn't new. I know it feels new. It feels new because it's slightly different than what it felt like before, but it's not new. It's been around for a long time. We've had automated things before. We've had the ability to do a lot of what we do before. It's just not been called AI. But I'm going to do that because my ideas and your ideas still matter. So you can own them. And even if you're using some assistance, own that too. Own the tools you're using. Integrity lasts longer than virality. Virality. See, AI wrote that. I would have said you're only viral for a certain amount of time. I don't think I've ever used the word virality. So there you go. AI decided that I would say virality. But no, integrity. Yeah, be yourself. You can. I have said this before as a human. No one can be a better version of you than you. You are the best you. So don't try and be someone else. Unless you want to, in which case, call it out. Put your hand up. Say, I'm Pete Johns, but I created this virtual character called Emma because I always wanted to have a special AI persona. And this is my fantasy role playing. And that's cool. That's fine. People do that. The role-playing industry is massive. The online gaming one, the tabletop gaming one, and the stuff that you go onto certain apps and websites to do. Number 13, respect through transparency, right? Respect doesn't come from pretending. It comes from openness and accountability. Yeah. AI music can coexist with human music. In fact, it will, and it has to. It's just going to, but only with clear ethical boundaries. Honesty is the price of admission. At least that's my view. If you disagree, I'd love to get your feedback. That is what the comments section is for. While you're down there, if you hit the thumbs up button, or again, the thumbs down button twice if you really disliked it. No, you're welcome to dislike this, because that's when I do these, I'll always get some people dislike it. And that's okay too, because guess what? You're allowed to have an opinion. Everyone's got them. And I have my opinion too. I'm hoping that if you've listened to this whole video, if you've watched this whole video, you will at least agree that I've tried to look at all of the available information and then make my decision based on that. And I've not gone off and gone clickbaity and gone, oh no, AI is great, or I love AI now. Why AI music is awesome now. No, but I'm going to say exactly what I said in the title and the thumbnail and at the start of this video. I actually have respect for artists who use AI. Not to use AI to deceive, but to use AI to enhance, to create, to invent, to experiment, to try new things. That's what it's all about, right? So, where have I landed on all of this? It's actually pretty simple. AI doesn't scare me. What scares me is what happens when people stop being honest. Stop being honest about how their work was made. When they hide the tools, blur identities, and try to pass something off as more real than it actually is. If you're using AI and you're proud of it, say so. If you're pretending, if you're experimenting, be open. If you're making something weird, fun, or impossible, own it. But if you're pretending, maybe reconsider. Because respect in music has never come from pretending. It comes from integrity. It comes from in here, bits that make you human. So AI doesn't scare me. The dishonesty of people using AI, that's what scares me. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, I promised myself I'd never say that. Be kind to yourself, folks. Be kind to others. Keep creating. And if you've got thoughts, views, opinions, drop those in the comments. And before we finally finish, I promise this will be the last rant about AI for the rest of the year. Yes, it's December 2025. So I'll see you next year for more AI music ranting. Thanks, folks. I'll see you soon.